Hey everyone, welcome back to Small Business Talk with Jerry. Jerry, it's great to have you guys. Tonight we are with Kevin Cruz and Denise Frey. Denise is going to co-host for us. We're going to be talking about Ansay and Associates. I'm saying that right?
You are.
Correct? Okay.
Yep.
So anyway, enough about me. Denise, introduce yourself.
Denise Frey, thanks. Founder and executive director of For Youth, and I help parents talk with their kids about drugs. And I always like to talk about it a little bit because a lot of parents think that if you talk to your kids about drugs, it brings the idea up to them and might create unnecessary curiosity. But the studies show the exact opposite, that the kids that, or the parents that talk with their kids about drugs actually have the least amount of risk of actually using drugs. Because when we don't talk as a parent, then they hear about it from somebody else.
Then the curiosity.
Yeah, they'll be curious.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if our silence just lets the world inform them.
I have so many questions about that, but we have one coming up.
Yes.
We have an episode coming up the next week or so.
Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, this Sunday. Okay.
Yeah,
this
Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, perfect. I knew it was coming up. So
yeah, I'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
In
so
the
tune
next
in.
podcast.
So tune in. And then, by the way, we do have another person here. Kevin, tell us a little bit about you. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Cruz. I'm with Ansay and Associates. I am a commercial insurance advisor over there. I've been with the team a little over 2 years now. So I specialize in commercial insurance, but we can also help people with their personal lines, so home auto, life insurance, and then we also do employee benefits as well. So,
okay.
Health insurance, dental, vision, all that fun insurance stuff.
Nice.
You help with all the MNsure stickiness that we deal with?
Yeah, so I started off on the personal line side of things, and then over the last year especially, I've transitioned to focus more on commercial.
Okay.
And then just recently, over the last month, I've dabbled a little bit in the employee benefits. So it's still somewhat fresh to me, but it's something I'm going to progress in over the next year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing insurance?
About 12 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been.
And Ansay for 2.
Yep.
So what were you doing before Ansay and Associates?
So funny enough, I started off at State Farm as a cold caller. So it was a lot of fun starting off.
It doesn't have the same ring.
Kevin
from
like...
State Farm.
No.
That's
why I left.
That's why you left. Well, it makes sense then.
It doesn't sound like fun either.
No,
that does not.
No, they'd give me a headset and put me in a very small room and say, hey, call as many people and set as many appointments as you can during this time. And if you set more appointments than the hours you are here, you got to go home early. And I thought that was really cool. So I did that for about 6 months or so. And then the guy that got me into State Farm, he actually transitioned over to Country Financial. And he was like, I'm going to need an assistant once I get trained in and whatnot, so you can follow me over if you'd like. And I took that as an opportunity. I followed him over, was his production assistant for about 3.5 years. The reason why I transitioned over was because he promised that I would start actually holding appointments, get licensed, not just doing the cold calls.
Sure.
So I found that appealing. Worked for him for about 3.5 years and taught me a lot of things about insurance, how to run a business. Things like that. So it was a great learning experience, kind of riding the bike with the training wheels on, essentially. But then I got to the point where I was like, I'm just producing just as much as he is, and he's the agency owner, and I was qualifying for all these trips for him and making all this money for him, and I was still making decent money too, but I wanted the recognition.
Yeah.
So I opened up my own agency with Country Financial April of 2018. And I did that for about 6 years. And that taught me a lot too. Running an agency, I, had staff working underneath me for a certain time, but then there was a period where I was running the agency by myself, essentially. And that was towards the end of my career. I kind of got burnt out being that one-man show. A lot of things changed at the agency. It changed our comp plan. Just a lot of change happened. And I saw that as an opportunity to explore other options. And at that time, I met another guy that came into a networking group that I was in. And he was a commercial insurance guy with Ansay and Associates.
Okay.
And, at first I was like, who's this other insurance guy? This is my turf type deal.
Right.
And through conversation, we ended up being pretty good referral partners. I stayed on the personal line side, and then I referred my commercial business to him. But then he was like, you should really talk to leadership and see if this would be a good fit for you. I kind of pushed back at it at first, but after about 3 years of talking through management, I made the jump. So January of 2024, I joined the Ansay team. So it's been a fun journey so far. A lot of learning experience. So.
And you said Ansay started in Wisconsin?
Yep. So we started, I believe it was 1945. We just celebrated, 80 years. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been around a really long time. It's on the second generation of the family right now, about to be the third generation. So we're the largest family-owned agency in Wisconsin. So we're really, really proud on that. I found that appealing
Yeah.
because there's a lot of insurance agencies out there.
American Family's big in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Way bigger.
Yeah, there's agencies all over the place, but I just really like the family feel to it. But we have really wide capabilities of what we can handle, multi-million-dollar businesses that we can help out. So we definitely have a lot of resources. And it's been exciting to see over the 2 years that I've been a part of the agency. We started off just in Wisconsin, and over the 2 years, we've expanded to Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, and even Florida.
Oh, wow.
So just in the time that I've been a part of the agency, we've grown substantially. So it's probably not going to stop anytime soon. So that's very, very exciting.
Well, since we have Denise here, I'm going to ask an insurance question that will interest her. So when you're talking commercial lines, are you able to do like event insurance, like what Pistons for prevention? Boy, that's a little bit of tongue twister
Pistons
for you.
for prevention.
Yeah, I don't know. Boy, it's like I'm new at this. But like when they do their 1-day event, you can step up in coverage, something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I see it a lot when people get married. I got married back in July.
There's insurance for marriage?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well,
Not the kind you're thinking.
Okay. I was going to say, boy, I missed the boat on that.
Yeah, just for the day of.
Okay. No, the day of went on. It was later.
Yeah.
That it came off the rails.
Yeah. So it's very similar. It's just general liability in case somebody gets hurt at the event. But I've had it before where I've helped out like craft shows and things like that they just need $1 million in general liability coverage for a day or two. So yeah, we can definitely help out with that.
And I was also asking about the professional liability for like educators.
Yeah, educators. There's a wide range of different professions that could use it, like lawyers. Property managers is somebody that I help out quite a bit. They need some professional liability in case they make mistakes and things like that. So yeah, we definitely have some good resources.
How about a supplement company?
Supplement company?
Like health supplements, vitamins, minerals.
That'd be an interesting one. We could probably find something for them.
That's been an interesting hunt, to say the least. Everyone, the commercial insurers that we're talking to, they'll all insure like our inventory.
Okay.
And when I talk about liability, like, you don't have any liability, you're not the manufacturer, so the liability all falls on the manufacturer. It's like, but we touch it.
Right.
I mean, we touch it. We can be named in that, if there's ever an issue. So, I mean, God forbid that there's ever a problem, but you hope that, it all goes well. I mean, but anyway, so that's something we could chat about at some point.
For sure. I was just on a call today with Travelers Insurance, and they were talking about manufacturers, and once it goes outside of the United States, there's certain coverage that those manufacturers need in order to prevent or to have coverage for those lawsuits that are outside of the United States. So not many people know that. There's little things. I mean, I've been doing insurance for over 10 years now, and I'm still learning. So it's crazy. I don't think I'll ever stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's an ever changing industry too.
Exactly.
I can't imagine. So
when
go ahead.
Did you have to move to Wisconsin when you first started working for them?
Nope. So I've stayed here in Rochester for the last 13 years. I just kind of got introduced through somebody that used to live in Wisconsin. So we go back. I'm technically out of the Eau Claire region. So we go back there maybe once a month or so for our sales meetings. Last week we were actually in Wausau for our annual sales training that the whole company gets together for. So that was really cool to kind of network with some other colleagues and stuff that I usually don't get to see. But periodically I go over to Wisconsin.
Is that where it started, Wausau?
Yep. Actually, Port Washington. is the headquarters. Essentially, I've been there a couple of times. Very
Where's
nice
that?
office.
Where's that? I'm not familiar with.
It's all the way on the other side of the state, over by, I believe it's Lake Superior.
Oh, okay.
There. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a hike, but it's
Yeah.
very
So
nice
it's
town.
north.
Yeah.
On the north other side.
Yep.
Northeast side.
North underside.
Yeah.
Northeast side.
So are you? Do you have are you like a sole agent in Rochester, or is it an agency with multiple agents in it, or what? What's in Rochester for Ansay and Associates?
Yeah, so we actually just moved into a new office that we're really excited about. We're right off of West Circle Drive, so it's the Pinnacle West building. It's about 2 buildings down from Mr. Pizza North.
Yep.
So as of right now, it is just me and one other colleague. His name is Ray.
Okay.
So yeah, we got that office all set up, holding appointments and stuff. So yeah, it's been good.
I think Doug Gillard's office is very
It's not
close
too
to
far. Yeah, I drive by it every single day.
Oh, I suppose he's in your Wednesday group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yep. Yeah, as I say, I was there not that long ago.
Yeah, it's been very nice to have a place to go to that I can meet with people. That's not necessarily a coffee shop, because sometimes, I mean, that's one, a cost to buy coffee every single time you go there. Sometimes they get a little noisy as well, so it's just nice to be able to bring somebody into professional
More
setting.
professional, yeah. So you
Right.
didn't have any. You were just working out of your home.
Yeah, for the last 2 years, yeah, we've both been working from our houses. He actually lives in Stewartville as well.
Oh, okay.
But we both live in separate homes, so it's not like we live in really big houses.
Yeah.
So yeah, we both have dogs too, so it's like there's just too many distractions at home.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have the flexibility to work from home when we need to, but I really, really do enjoy going to the office and actually.
And then there's room to expand.
Yeah, so
Looking
in that
for more
in
agents?
in that location, or in our office, there is 4 office spaces total, and we only occupy 2 of them. There's a reception area and a kitchenette area as well, so definitely have room for expansion over the next couple of years. We'll see how soon that happens when we expand the team and stuff like that.
Sure. So now, does Ray do the same thing you do, commercial lines, or is he?
Yep, so he does commercial. I do a little bit more personal lines than him at the time, but
Okay.
I'm trying to transition more of my time towards the employee benefits. He
Okay.
doesn't do the employee benefits at all, but like I said, that's somewhat newer to me. But it'll probably start ramping up over the next year or so.
Sure.
But we'll be able to partner together on opportunities for that side of things.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, we work well as a team. We worked
I was just going to say, you get along?
we get along great. I mean, we hang out outside of work occasionally, and then we even partner together on certain deals when appropriate. So yeah, we like going into the office just to run things by each other. Certain opportunities, like, hey, you just wrote a coffee shop. Who would you write that with? Type deal. So that's really, really nice. And then just also feeding off of each other's energies. I mean, I'm still doing cold calling to businesses and whatnot. So when we both get in the room together and we're both doing cold calling, whether it's good or bad, we kind of feed off of that energy.
Misery loves company.
Exactly. Yeah, you get hung up on a few
Celebrate
times.
together.
It's like, like you kind of laugh about it versus getting discouraged, and so it's like, on to the next one. So yeah. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. So Ansay and Associates, you're a broker then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So that's what I found very appealing when I made the transition from Country Financial. They're a captive agency, so after growing my book of business for about 6 years, my hands were kind of tied. Rates were going up, and I didn't really have the ability to shop around, so that was very tough. I could only,
just justify cost.
Hope that they like me enough to stay, increase people's deductibles, lower coverage as needed. But it's just nice to have the ability to shop around multiple different carriers. My retention is substantially better than what it was at Country, so I see value in that. Yeah, it's huge. It's funny, I used to talk smack about these brokers all the time when I was at Country, and now I'm living it. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
Well, when you work for Chevy, you got to drive a Chevy. When you work for Ford, Ford's the best today.
Exactly.
I mean, it's same been going on for centuries.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
what do you do for fun when you're not working?
I really like to travel. We've got fortunate enough to travel quite a bit over the last over the last year. So we went on our honeymoon not too long ago. We went to Punta Cana, so that was very fun. About a couple of weeks ago, we went to Florida, to Naples, so that was a lot of fun. And then in about 2 months, we get to go to Galveston, Texas. So that's my first time in Texas, so
nice.
that'll be a good experience. But other than that, around here, I like to go golfing. So I was just at the chamber event out the country club, and they were giving away a social membership. I was really hoping that I was going to win that, but unfortunately, I won a $20 gift card instead. So won't complain about that. But
Right.
I was hoping for that membership. But yeah, golf in the summertime. But other than that, yeah, just hanging out with my wife, and we got 2 dogs at home, so they keep us plenty busy. So
No kids yet?
no kids yet,
No kids
but
yet?
hopefully in the near future. So,
Awesome.
It's only been since July. So.
yeah, we're still
Yeah,
pretty
you
fresh.
know.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, that is true.
That doesn't mean anything. No
No.
judgment here.
Are you both from Rochester?
So she's actually from Detroit. So
That's where I'm
she
from.
really,
Yeah,
yeah,
Detroit girl.
nice.
Well, Royal Oak. It's,
Yeah, it's like a suburb of Detroit.
Yeah.
Livonia
yeah,
is where she's from.
yeah. So she'll know where Royal Oak is.
Okay, yeah, I feel like I've heard Royal Oak just
Yeah.
being around the area a few
Kind of
times and
north.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place to visit. We'll be going back there during the holidays this year. So, but yeah, she moved here to work at Mayo, and she actually just left Mayo. So she was
cool.
there for about 5 years or so, and I think 2 weeks ago, she started a new job. She was a 3D printing manufacturer, or she's starting a new job at a 3D printing manufacturer out of Minnetonka. So she's an engineer. She was an engineer at Mayo in the 3D printing lab in radiology. So in the 3D printing realm, but just in the medical side of things. Now with Stratasys, it's still 3D printing, but just no medical. So she goes around to businesses, and if they have a need for 3D printing, she finds the best printer for them and kind of is their partner with how to use the tools and stuff like
Did she
that.
go
So
to University of Michigan?
yes. I was trying to think. I hope I said that right, but yes, I believe so.
I always say it's the other U of M because
Yeah.
I had to spell it out.
Yeah.
Versus Minnesota.
Yep.
I went to Michigan and Dearborn.
Okay. Nice.
Engineering.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Look at all that.
I worked at IBM.
Yeah, you guys would probably get along great.
That's what brought us to Rochester.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you notice that when you say you're an engineer, after people have talked to you for a while, they're surprised? She doesn't fit the engineer.
And another
mold.
female engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
what's her name? Don't say it's Denise.
It's Tori.
Tori.
Yeah. But it
It's
is
a
funny
nice
seeing
name.
the reaction. I love going to like different events and stuff like that, and they're asked like, "What does your wife do?" I'm like, well, she's an engineer. Oh wow.
See, and he still
So
did it even though
smart.
his wife's an engineer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You guys are smart people.
It gives you so much opportunity for career choices.
Yeah.
No matter what.
We do that at work. It's like it's like a game show. When they walk up there, you're like, engineer.
I wonder if people think that when I walk out, like, yeah, insurance guy. I actually did go to a wedding one time, and they're like, "What do you do?" And I said, "Insurance." They're like, "Yeah, that doesn't surprise me." So I was like, "Huh, what gave it away?" And they're like, "The khakis."
Just like Jake from State Farm.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's great.
So
Yeah, we have a Jake from State Farm in our Tuesday
Yeah.
chat.
He introduced himself as Jacob.
Yeah.
But right away,
Wow.
I'm like, Jake from State Farm.
you gotta own it.
Yeah.
So now
He's a
you
good
get
kid. I had lunch with him last week. Yeah. I really like Jake. He's a good
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah. So what type of engineer?
She is a biomedical engineer.
That sounds smarter than electrical. I don't think so. When I was there, they didn't even have that as an option.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. But that's great.
Yeah. She's smart for sure. She keeps me organized.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So you
That's
met
great.
in Rochester.
We did meet in Rochester.
That-
Yep.
Social or
Yeah, we actually met online, and then our first date was at Thesis Brewery.
Yeah.
So we grabbed a couple beers, got to know each other a little bit, and then before we knew it, trivia night started. So we're like, let's just hang out for this, and we found out that we're both equally as bad at trivia. So that was funny. And then we enjoyed the conversation so much that I convinced her to go across the street for dinner to Beatles. And so we got some fried chicken afterwards. And so, yeah, we just both didn't want the night to end. So it lasted a while. And then, yeah, the dates just went on from there. And
That's
I think
great.
after about 3 years or 2.5 years of dating, I popped the question. And then, yeah, this last July, we got married in Pepin, Wisconsin. So,
What a life.
Nice.
yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Nice. Yes.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Beautiful wedding. But yeah, it went by fast. They tell us
Oh,
that,
yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
day of goes by very fast. And that is very true.
It does.
So, how many kids are in your future?
I would like 2. And I think she agrees on that. But we will see.
My or Heather's oldest, they have their second one is on the way, and so I keep asking because it's fun to ask for me because I'm like, so how many more are we having? And Michael's just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
This is one more than we needed to have, but I'm good with it. And Brooke's like, yeah, this is a good start. This is a good place to get started at.
Yeah.
And she's ready for a football team. So like, so I always love to ask.
Yeah. No, it's funny how many people ask you that after you do get married. That's like the go-to
Yep.
next question.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, all right, when are you guys starting to
Yeah.
have kids, and how many
Yep.
do you want?
Yep. Well, I mean, I have 2, and we're a blended family. And I have 2, and Heather has 3. So 5 was never my answer.
Yeah.
For the record, never my answer.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool having a big family. I mean, I will say that I would have never
Yeah.
tried to build a big family. But
Yeah.
We were going to have 4, but after 2, it's way different than 1. And we had a boy and a girl, so.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're hoping for.
And my husband always wanted to retire early.
Mm.
So that kind of trumped part of it,
Yep.
too. But yeah, a big family would be cool. We both came from big families. I had 6, he had 8.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and you end up with a lot more grandkids. Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we do have 3 grandkids so far, and I think we'll have 1 or 2 more.
Wow.
Yeah, we had when I had my 2, I have a boy and a girl, and I always give my daughter a hard time because she was so hard on me as a teenager. Oh my god! And I thought my boy was tough, and then Haley come along, and I always tell her, I'm like, oh sweetheart, if you'd have been first, you'd have been last. Oh my gosh, I was not prepared for. I thought Dustin had worn me in, and I was a veteran. Nope, not even close. Not even
They're
close.
quite different.
Yeah, quite different. Yeah. Yep, she was a handful. I talked to her on the way home tonight. She's 25 now. It's just it's just cool how the relationships change because it's so hard when you lose your baby and you get a toddler, and then you lose the toddler and you get that little kid. Then you lose a little kid and you get that teenager that you can't put back in the box, and then the teenager that knows everything comes back around and all of a sudden needs mom and dad again.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just everything you can't focus on losing the baby. You got to focus on gaining the toddler. And
Yeah, I always look
each one of
forward.
those steps.
I
Yeah.
always look forward to every stage.
Yep. It's
And yeah, when they're teenagers, they don't think we're that smart, but they do come around.
they do come around. It does.
And the grandkids are worth it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. Believe me, my mom keeps reminding me.
Yeah.
Every time I see her, she's like, it's like, wow.
So our daughter, I don't know if it was her husband, but they didn't. Their rule, whatever, was they weren't going to get married until they were 30.
Oh.
And I'm not the one to kind of pressure, so I didn't want to keep asking when are the kids.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and then they but yeah, so they have their first one. And so she was 35 when she got pregnant and 36, and so she was considered high risk.
Oh.
If you're 35,
Mhm.
just FYI, if Tori's curious.
Yeah. No, yeah. She's definitely aware.
Yes,
Gotta get
I'm
on it.
sure she's heard that.
Yeah.
I think that was Denise's way of saying, hurry up.
Well, you never know, because there are a lot of families that have to have infertility. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not the reason. But everything with our daughter turned out great. Because it's like the nice thing though, I think in both cases, I'm kind of glad they waited because they grew up more.
I have a good friend of mine I graduated with, and he's the same age I am. He's actually a year older. He's 55, and he has an 11-year-old, and that was all planned. He's been married. He got married young. I don't think we were more than 22, 23 when he got married, and they, but they held off. They just, and he said that, she wanted to be a mom, but she wanted to get her career in place, and you know, he wanted to be a dad, but he's like, I want to be stable. I want to be able to do, and they homeschool. And I mean, he retired at 48. And so, you know, when James was 3 years old, you know, so yeah, so so I mean, I don't know if I'd say did it right, but they did what was right for them, and it's really
Yeah.
working out.
Yeah.
And James is amazing. This kid is just brilliant for an 11-year-old. You wouldn't, when you talk to him, you'd never guess that. It's so
Yeah.
so it's very cool to see how different, you know. And I'm 54 with a 35-year-old, so that started early, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's fun to watch how everybody does it, you know. And
Yeah. There's no right or wrong way.
no,
Yeah.
no, that's right. So what are your aspirations for Ansay and Associates? Are you able to, or are you your own agent with them, or how does that work? I mean, like when you're with Kent Trench Financial, you had your own agency.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're doing now, or?
So yeah, that's a great question. So we kind of just work as a team. I don't own the agency, so we kind of just partner with Ansay and Associates to give us all the tools and resources to be successful as agents.
Okay.
I'm still growing my own book of business essentially, and then once I reach a certain point in growing my book, I get ownership in my book and a retirement plan
Okay.
based on how much I've sold over the last, however many years that is
Sure.
at that point. So it's something to look forward to for sure. But yeah, one thing that I really like is they give us the resources. Like I have a dedicated person on my team that handles all the service work and whatnot. So I just get to focus on the stuff that I enjoy, which is networking, meeting with people, meeting with business owners and things like that, versus doing like policy changes, adding vehicles, if somebody moves, writing new policies, things like that. So yeah, it's a little different dynamic than what I was used to at Country, just doing everything myself. So I really like that side of things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So is it your partner that helps doing the other things, or back in Wisconsin, some of those folks?
Yeah, some of the guys over in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That is nice.
yeah, they're not actually in the office, but if I need them, they're just a phone call away. And most of the time, if a client of mine, a contractor, needs a certificate of insurance or something like that, they're able to turn it around within 24 hours versus coming to me. If I have a busy day, like full of meetings and stuff like that, it might take me a little bit longer versus my service advisor. His name's Brett. He does a great job. That's all he does is he's in the office, and if anybody needs him for anything like that.
Well, it lets you focus and not get distracted too by the little stuff.
Yeah, you can only do so much in a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really nice to have somebody to hand that off to that you can trust.
Yeah.
So,
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So what made you want to get into insurance in the first place?
I kind of just fell into it, to be honest. I grew up in Austin. I lived in Rochester now for about 13 years. I originally came to Rochester with an opportunity to move in with some of my high school buddies. My lifelong friend Lucas, he was going to move here with a handful of other friends, and he was like, "We have one other bedroom available. Rent is $300 a month. Do you want to come with us?" And I was like, "Sure." I don't really have any other plan or anything, so I plan to go to RCTC, but I ended up going to Minnesota School of Business here in Rochester. I toured the campus, liked the small classes. I was curious about business. So I moved here, and I didn't really look back. It's been a really great experience. I've moved a few times here, but I really, really love it in Rochester. So
you went to Minnesota School of Business.
Yep.
So majored in business.
I got business administration. Yeah, so pretty broad subject. And then I was a shift manager at Arby's actually. So I had the job in Austin, and then I transitioned to Rochester just to kind of have a job right away. And then I became a shift manager here. And while I was going to Minnesota School of Business, I was in a financial planning class, and that's where I got the connection with State Farm. There was a guy in front of me, was an agent at State Farm, and he was like, "We need a cold caller. What are you looking to do?" And I was like, "Anything other than Arby's. Like, I'm sick of smelling like curly fries." So I was like, "I'll give it a shot." This cold calling thing. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I didn't love like the act of cold calling,
Yeah.
but I saw the benefits of the industry, and I was like, these guys are wearing suits, they drive nice cars, they seem like they're doing okay. I think I can stick it out, getting hung up on a few times here and there,
Yeah.
getting rejection, but like what I really enjoyed was the wins. It gave me a taste of, winning an account or setting the appointment and, facing those objections. So that got me really intrigued in the industry, and it's just kind of went from there. Like selling home and auto insurance is one thing, there's certain coverages that are important to have, but dealing with business owners, I think, is just like another level. There's a lot more going on, a lot more that could go wrong, in my opinion, depending on the operation. So being that advisor that's there for them on the front end to kind of explain what coverages are available, but then being there on the back end in case there is a claim, saying, you know what, you're covered. We set this up properly, and actually answering the phone and giving the right guidance when something hits the fan. That's really important too. That's what I feel like a lot of people struggle with is service.
Right.
When people say you actually answer your phone and get back to me in a timely manner, like that goes a long way. A lot of people are so price driven, especially on the personal line side of things. They shop around quite a bit, which I mean I get it, but their main concern is price versus I feel like I can provide value a lot more on the commercial side of things, whether it's coverage or just service in general.
So were you cold calling on the personal side or the business side?
I used to do personal side, but now with me focusing most of my time on the commercial side of things, I do a lot of cold calling on the businesses.
So what was your most entertaining excuse, objection that you worked through on one of your cold calls?
Well, I'm trying to think. I would say the most interesting home appointment I had towards the earlier part of my career was at Country, and we went out to a house in Grand Meadow, and we went over the insurance and whatnot. We were walking through the house. She was nice enough to give us a little tour, and we walk past her laundry room, and there's like a barricade almost, like plywood, like stacked up in the corner. We're like, what the heck's that? And we asked her, and she's like, "Oh, come check this out." And we walked over there, and we looked over the edge, and she had a pet alligator. And we're like, "What?" And so there was like a little stream, and it was a pretty cool little setup, like a heating lamp and everything. And then she's like, "Well, check this out." And she went to her freezer and got a frozen mouse and threw it in there and came out and got the mouse and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. How'd you end up with an alligator?" She said she went to Wisconsin Dells and they had one for sale, or they asked how much it was, and it was really cheap. And so like, let's take it home. And then it got to be really big, and they tried telling me that they tape up the mouth and bring it out and let it play with the kids and stuff like that. It's just like, that's crazy. Wow. So that was a really interesting way to get in. I think that was within my first month or two. Wow. I was like, this is what like home appointments are like. And so we didn't end up writing their account. So
would you have had to like up their policy?
Yeah, it's a little too risky for our liking. So that was a unique experience, let's say, on the personal line side of things. But on the commercial side of things, I mean, I get a lot of, "Oh, I just renewed last month. You just missed me." It's like, you did. That's what the last 3 people told me too. It's like, imagine that. So that's an easy way for people to, get us off the phone. I get it. Not everybody likes to be cold called. I don't like making cold calls, but they work every once in a while. But just having that warm introduction from somebody that I've dealt with before goes a long way. So I've tried to use that to my advantage, or being a part of networking groups like SBRs went a long way. I partner closely with Jordan Whitcomb. He recently helped out a guy with home and auto insurance, found out that he had a gutter company, so he referred him over to me, and we actually just closed that deal last week.
Awesome.
So it's a great partnership.
Jordan's a good kid.
He is. Yeah, we've known each other for years, and so we work very well together. And I don't think I would have got that account. That client, that business owner, actually shopped us. He went to another broker and got a quote as well, on top of working with me as well. And I don't think I would have got that account if it wasn't for Jordan speaking so highly of me and our agency. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't beat that.
No.
So
Yeah, Jordan's mom is my wife's helper in the or assistant in the daycare.
okay.
So I've known
I
Jordan
didn't know
since
that.
he was 5 years old.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's awesome.
before he was 8 feet tall.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah, he's a little taller than me.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
So I would imagine if you had to cold call individuals these days, it'd be really hard because I never answer my phone.
Yeah, there's a lot of leaving voicemails.
Yeah,
On the
and
next
then
one.
who are they going to call? Back the insurance guy, but
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
think it'd be really hard.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate enough to not have to cold call for personal lines anymore. They
Yeah.
kind of just come in organically after doing it for
Yeah.
10 years. But on the business side, I mean, I still get a handful of referrals for business leads and whatnot. But if I'm specifically trying to target like a manufacturer or contractor or something like that, then it's up to me to kind of steer the ship and cold call specific industries that we're competitive with. So it's kind of nice. It's up to me. Like I can go after, $1 million companies if I want to, or I can do, 5-employee contractor, something like that. So, but yeah, it's all learning experience. Everybody has different needs and wants and things like that. So
You seem very natural because you seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, I do. It's
just important.
It's all about how can I be better? How can I be a better agent myself from what I was a month ago, a year ago, things like that. But also, how can I provide better service than you're getting right now? How can I be, just a problem solver essentially compared to what these business owners are getting right now?
Yeah, because you can probably foresee problems that they can't, even when they first come in.
Yeah, and it's much better to catch them proactively versus reactively. And like, oh, I'm not covered for that? What? Like, I don't like delivering that news.
Right.
For sure. And I'm sure the business owners don't like hearing that either. And they shop around real quick after that. So,
Well, how often do you catch yourself looking for education because you got a new client that asked you something you haven't dealt with before and you've all of a sudden tried to become the expert? I mean, assuming that's part of what you do
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So that's one thing I really enjoy or appreciate about Ansay and Associates is they designate a certain allowance towards us towards continuing education. With insurance, you have to take 24 hours of continuing education every 2 years. That's mandatory to keep your license. But then there's also opportunities on top of that we can use to kind of like sharpen the saw. Different designations you can get focusing in different areas. So right now on my business card after my name, it's there's initials CWCA. So that stands for Certified Work Comp Advisor.
Oh, okay.
So I had to take a class, pass a test in order to get that designation. I'm also working on my CIC designation, which stands for Certified Insurance Counselor. So those all take, hours and hours of continuing education on top of what we need to do to keep our license.
So what's the definition of, I know what a counselor is.
Yeah.
What's an insurance counselor mean? What's that?
It's just saying that you know your stuff, essentially. There's 5 different courses you need to take. Each course is 16 hours. So after each course, you have to pass a test as well. So you got to do that in 5 different areas. So in order to pass the test, you obviously need to study and actually know your stuff. So once you get that designation behind your name, it kind of puts you above the standard insurance advisor. I heard that only 9% of commercial insurance advisors have that designation. Wow. So it kind of puts you in this elite class, and you can kind of differentiate yourself in that way.
So you can counsel a business on what kind of insurance is good.
Right. You're not just, I like to say, like, when I first joined the team, I introduced myself as an insurance agent. And my colleague Ray was like, no. We're insurance advisors. Yeah. We give advice to people. We're not just agents.
Right, just going to sell something.
Yeah. Versus, just selling something. We're there to give, whether you do business with me or not, I want to give it sound advice that's going to help that person in the future. I mean, I would love to have them do business with me.
Absolutely.
But if I can put them in a better space or educate them in some way, that's a win for me.
So what were the 5 areas?
What's that?
What were the 5 areas? Not to put you on the spot, but
5 areas.
For being a counselor, you said you had to study and test on 5.
I don't know all of them. I've taken the multi-lines.
Oh, you're in the process of
I'm
this
in the
now.
process. I
Right.
don't have that designation quite yet. I've
Yeah.
only taken one of the 5 courses
Okay.
so far, but I do know that is multi-lines.
Multi-line.
Yeah, so that kind of gives you a broad idea of like, not to get too technical, but inland marine coverage.
She's an engineer. It'll be all right.
Cyber insurance. I'm sure you guys heard of cyber insurance.
Oh yeah.
But and then like general liability, but inland marine coverage, that's like for contractors when they bring equipment to and from job sites.
Yeah.
That's what inland marine coverage is. But there's a lot of
There's no boats involved.
No, it doesn't. Surprisingly, based on the name, yeah, you'd think that, right? But yeah, there's a lot of fine lines on where coverage comes into play with inland marine coverage, and so just getting proper education on that, where to have things covered and not covered, is important. So
surprising that only 9%.
It's very hard to get the designation. I mean, it's a lot of hours of class, and then each test at the end of the class is 20 questions, all short answer. So you got to know your stuff in order to pass them for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that you're ambitious enough to get into that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, things are changing all the time. So I see it as a challenge to get better and know more than the other person.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, the task at hand, once you have it, you still have to educate people, because the letters, they don't mean anything if you don't know what they mean.
Right.
I mean, it's,
right.
You have to, like say, we ask the questions, but how many people look at it and don't ask the question? It falls on deaf ears,
Right.
So with anytime you have that behind you, you have to educate people on that also. So that's another piece of the puzzle. It makes it more difficult.
Right.
So,
I always find it entertaining or interesting when I learn something in one of those classes, and then I meet with a business owner, and I'm like, you need this type of coverage type,
Well, yeah, it would make it easier to sell more product.
Yeah, and like it helps with the confidence too. If you jump into, let's just say, an excavation business and you've never wrote one before, you don't necessarily know what questions to ask or what to watch out for. You do like just generally, but there could be specific coverages that are right for excavation businesses. So it's just learning through repetition.
Well, I'll give a good example. So and I asked a little bit about the general professional liability. So what I'm looking for is like an insurance guy that will ask me questions, because I don't know what I really need.
Exactly.
Right.
And what they're asking, or the ones I've talked to so far, have just said, well, what do you want? Well, I think if I ask Claude, he says I need.
Yeah, I want to be covered. I want to mitigate my risk. That's what I'd like to do.
But like,
how do I do that?
With the nutrients or education, especially growing up or not growing up in that field, you don't know what kind of protection I actually need.
Right.
No, because that's something like you talk about, manufacturing outside of the U.S. There's questions that need to be asked there that you just don't know.
Right.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd rather ask the questions up front, and even if they decline the coverage, I still did my job and asked the questions. That's up to them if they want to.
And you still educated them too.
Exactly. Yeah, they know it's available, even if they say that I didn't bring it up in the future. But
one of the most frustrating things for me is when in your own mind, when when a client isn't happy about something that you warned them about. And it's funny because in the back of my mind, you just want to jump up on the table and go, I told you so. It's like talking to your 5-year-old. I told you so. But of course you can't do that. And half of the time they talk about it like they had no idea that could happen. And so you have to, depending on the client, you have to tactfully work it into the conversation of something that reminds them of the conversation you had yesterday or 6 months or 2 years ago. That's just like, when we talked about this, we're really hoping it wasn't going to happen, but I did mention this, and you try to somehow, and some people just have to kind of poke them in the forehead and go, you should have listened to me, and unfortunately it happens. It's, what I say to a lot of my clients is it's really unfortunate when I have to give them a big estimate. there's so many times where it's like, this is really unfortunate. This was completely avoidable, and I don't want to be rude or condescending, but it's like, especially when you have a client that, I mean, like in my business, putting a fuel pump in, if you run your car till the gas light comes on, that is horrible on a fuel pump. And I talk about it with my clients all the time because people don't know it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that. It's, and so you put a fuel pump in. What's the warranty on this? I was like, well, are you going to run out of gas? Because if you run out of gas, don't tell me because I'm not going to warranty it. It's like that's, these fuel pumps, they're turbine style. They spool up, 12, 15,000 RPM or more. And when your gas light's on, there's no gas in the tank. What keeps that turbine slowed down is the fuel running through it, right? The resistance. So when you take a corner and it sloshes a little bit, I mean, the tanks aren't just a wide open cavity, but if it sloshes, you get an air pocket that comes through. You'll double the speed of that turbine, and of course, and then of course, the fuel being around it, the tank being full, cools it, and of course, the fuel going through it slows it down. So you have that whole, and there is lubrication in the gasoline for that. So when you run them empty, you run out of lubrication. It's obviously empty, so it's not surrounding it, doesn't cool it. You get that air gap, and it spools way up and goes super fast. It's like, yeah, they just, so if you're a person who's had a fuel pump put in, it's probably not your last one, because it's probably, not that they can't go bad on their own, they can, but a lot of times this is something you kind of point to a habit and go, keep the top half. It's just as cheap to keep the top half full as the bottom half. So don't just fill it halfway. Fill it up when it gets to halfway. Just you only have to do a half tank, but do the top half. But this is education again. We're back to that where you try to tell people and they come in their second or third round and it's like, this was avoidable. You know what to do with this. But if you berate your clients, they're not your clients anymore. There's too many other places to go. So you got to draw that line of, I really want to help you, but this is going to be tough love doesn't work in the business world a lot of times. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's another side of it. You can offer to help and want to help as much as you can, but they got to listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got to implement what you're recommending and stuff. If they're not going to, then sorry, there's a repair shop down the street, and same with insurance, there's somebody down the street that can probably help you out.
You do have, that's one thing that is, in my opinion, is probably one of the most difficult things to a new entrepreneur to realize. There are times you have to fire clients.
Yeah.
There's absolutely justified, canceling a contract, just being done with a client.
Yep.
And that's hard when you're young in business. Your business is young. It's like you don't want to turn away anything.
Yep.
And it's hard to you put up with a lot more. Then you get close to that retirement age, and you're just like, you guys can go away.
Yeah.
We don't even single out anymore. It's like, I don't want any headaches. You just that whole thing. That's enough for me. Where it's stuff you'd have dealt with for 20 years with no issue. And then you get close to retirement, you're like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to be that busy.
So how often have you had to do that, Jerry?
Well, Broadway Car Care has been around 23 years, and a bold, directed statement, just, Denise, you're a sweetheart. You have friends. I know people like you. I have friends, people like me. For whatever reason, we just aren't clicking. I think you'd be better served by, how many shops do you, and when I try to make a joke, I'm like, how many shops do you drive by to get here? And they tell me. And to me, that's a pat on the back to me when I know that, you have to, you're bringing me your car. And if you drive by 5 other shops to get to me, I'm proud of that, But then when we get to that point, it's like, try one a little closer to home, give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's like, but I do always end it. And I've done that probably 8 or 9 times in 23 years. So not a ridiculous amount, in my opinion. But
so was it the person or the car you didn't like?
Both. Cars, if we turn away cars, I turn away cars weekly. So that's in the hundreds. It's hundreds of times I've had to do that because and at that point, it's like if you're driving a Mercedes and it's not running well, okay, you don't want me working on that. I don't have a good European guy. Yeah. If you have a diesel F-250, again, runnability problem. We can put brakes in it, sure. Your Mercedes, we can put brakes in. That's fine. But if it doesn't run well, okay, that's specialized tools I don't have. It's specialized education. I don't have the right guy. So cars I turn away all the time. But that's not a I don't get along with you kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I've customers person to person,
Yeah.
probably 8 or 9. But I
was-
always end it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was thinking there might be cars, not that you didn't have the tools for it, but that they were so far gone or whatever. I know you've done that with some of the families I've referred where they weren't worth fixing.
Yep.
But does anyone ever bring one that just keeps breaking the same way or whatever? And,
No. I mean that does happen, and then you have to figure out why.
Yeah.
And is it user input, right? Is it user error, like the gas light on the gas tank, or is it just that you missed something? I mean, a lot of times there's something causing this to go bad. When they'll come to me going, I've had 3 alternators put in this thing in the last year and a half. It's like there's something else wrong. I don't doubt that you needed the alternators. They will get ruined. But matter of fact, I had that this week. He picked it up today. We fixed it on Tuesday, but it was a Honda Odyssey and had a VTEC solenoid that was leaking oil. Well, it's leaking oil onto the alternator. He had an alternator put in a year and a half ago, had one put in November, and then he brings it to us. And he just moved here, and we look at it, and he says, it had to jump it, and he got halfway to us, and it died, and he had towed it in. And we go in and see the alternator's out of it. I said, but you got a pretty decent oil leak here too. And he goes, yeah, they've been trying to get me to fix that forever. I'm like, okay. And I said, well, I'm worried that this is going to affect this alternator, And then he's like, you think so? I'm like, well, yeah, it's oil, and it's going into an open cased alternator. It's getting inside. It's gotta cause a problem at some point. Well, that makes sense. Then he tells me the story. He didn't come in saying, hey, I've had this, when I told him he needed an alternator, he didn't tell me, well, I've already had 2 put in the last year, but then when I tell him that I think he's like, oh. So the problem is the oil leak was about twice the money that the alternator was, to replace. So we literally tripled his bill because he didn't have any warranty with us on this alternator, and he just moved here, and he said he wasn't, obviously it's too far away, wasn't going back. But yeah, I mean, we literally tripled his bill. But I said, I'll put an alternator in it. It'll work for a while. But I said, the alternator comes with a lifetime warranty. My labor is 12 months, 12,000 miles. But if I'm putting an alternator in a vehicle that I know is going to fail, I will not warranty this. You have to understand, I'm not trying to be hard nosed, but I will not give you the warranty on this because it's going to fail, And then when he says, he goes, that actually does make sense. Then he tells me a whole story, and I was like, whoa, that's why these are going bad. You don't just get to, pick the wrong brand of alternator, So, but.
And that's what makes you special too, is that you know so much about cars, kind of like you're learning all this about insurance, that you're giving more value to your customers.
We try. Yeah. I mean, we try to, we try to share that. I mean, don't keep it a secret,
Yeah.
And back to what we had originally started about firing a client, I have asked people, like I said, how many shops do you drive by? And then try to make a joke like, try one, try one a little closer to home, so a little more convenient, obviously. And I tell, and then I did that the first couple times, and it just kind of left it there, and they left not happy because, I mean, they didn't want to be fired, essentially. And I mean, nobody wants to be, whether it's job, it's, your auto shop, your hairdresser, doesn't matter. But probably the second, third, fourth one, he just point blank, he said, what kind of positive outcome are you expecting from this? And I said, well, we're being pretty blunt and honest here, aren't we? And he's like, yep. I'm like, this is really awkward. If you don't come back, this doesn't happen again. That's, I mean, I don't know how positive that is for you. I hope you don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy this. So for me, that not having this awkward conversation, that would make my life a little better. I would like that. And he laughed at me, because I was kind of smiling like, this is really weird. This is an awkward conversation. But I thought, well, I'm just going to say it out loud. This is where the benefit is. This won't happen again, and he kind of laughs. I said, but I'll tell you what. I said, and that's the first time I said, you've got friends, right? And he's kind of giving me this, yeah. I'm like, but seriously, you have somebody you go bowling with, or you have a beer with, or barbecue, or whatever, right? Card night. He's like, yeah, of course. I'm like, so do I. People like me. I mean, some. No, not everyone,
Yeah.
but some. I said, people like you. Not everyone, probably, but some. And he's just kind of. I said, but for whatever reason, this just doesn't work. So I said, I'll tell you what. Try another shop. There's lots of them in town. Just try another one. And I said, for me, if you find someone that you feel comfortable with, takes good care of you, and you don't have to have this kind of exchange with, that's better for both of us. I said, but you go to a shop, you feel like you weren't treated fairly, they were rude, they were punctual, whatever, it's an integrity issue. Well, okay, again, there's a lot of shops in town. Go try another one. I said, a year from now, you've only probably had to go to a shop a year from now 2 or 3 times, maybe less, maybe more, but probably not a lot of times. But I said, if you a year from now, if all you have behind you is 2 or 3 terrible experiences, well then come back. I will take you back. It's not that I won't, but I would just hope that at that point, I'm going to respect the fact that you're coming back to me. You're going to respect the fact that I must be better than the other ones you've been to. So maybe we don't butt heads so much. Maybe life's a little better that way.
Yeah.
And and it was really funny because he just kind of looked at me and he's like, I didn't think we were going to end up here. I really didn't. This is pretty good. And he come up and he shook my hand and he left. And I don't know that I ever saw him again, but I've had 2 or 3 of my 8 or 9 customers that I've fired over time. Matter of fact, I just had one come back probably in the last 8 months, 9 months, and just said that they had bought a new car, and like I say, we weren't getting along great, but everything was too expensive, everything, and it was not just whiny. It was like, you need to do better. It's like, this is my price. This is where I'm at, and I can't believe you charge that much. Well, I'm not forcing you to. I'm not making you fix it. I didn't call you after it was fixed. I called you before it was fixed, and he'd always give me the approval. Then when you come in to pick it up, he'd be like, "You have to do better." It's like, but you approved. This is what you approved. I didn't. There's nothing extra. I mean, you've been to me many times. If I tell you it's going to be $28, it's $28. If I tell it's going to be $2,085, it's 2,000. If I need a nickel more, I will call you and keep you up to date and say, what do you want to do with this? So that's why I fired him. That's not something I want to deal with. I called you. I did my due diligence. You approved it. The time to complain about the price was the time I gave you the price, not after the work's done. And now you think you're holding a gun to my head. It's like, no, you don't understand how this works. I can just file a mechanics lien. I'll just keep your car. So yeah, we got an $800 repair. You've got a $25,000 car. I like those. That'd be great. I mean, if you really want to do that, it's like, I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. I definitely don't want that making the news. But at the end of the day, it's like, don't quabble over $40 or $50 now. You could, but do that before you do the work. So for me, but I have had a couple that came back and they're like, we bought a new car, whatever. We had a bad experience. So, and just, we didn't really see eye to eye on what you were doing all the time, but now we see how the industry is. And it's like, that's a different ballgame,
Yeah, I think a lot of people realize that, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It happens on insurance all the time. You get those difficult clients and, here's Progressive's number, or
I was
like,
just gonna say that.
something like
I
that.
can go online and get it for X amount less,
It's
and then you have no support.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're with that poor support for a year or two, and they're like, man, that was a big difference. And then they end up calling, a couple years down the road. So
it's easy to have no support when you have no problem.
Exactly.
And it's like, I can sit down here and talk to you guys all night. I don't care what my agent is doing, but when I go upstairs or I go around the corner, I see my drain leaking and my carpet wet and my walls soaking it up. It's like, well, now I care.
Yeah. I hope he answers his phone.
Yeah, I hope he answers. I hope I got a good one. Yeah. I hope my AI chat bot at Progressive is going to be available.
That personal connection means a
lot. Yeah.
Some of the bigger, I won't name names, some of the other bigger insurance companies, like when the agent retires, you just get passed to another agent that doesn't even call or anything. And you don't even even have a choice. Like they don't even come Because sometimes you know multiple agents within that same
Mhm.
company.
Yeah.
But you're not even given the option. So that was one of the reasons we left our last one.
Yeah. They
That's
almost
what happened.
take it for granted, like in my opinion, if I was inherited a policy or a book of business and they left, it wouldn't hurt quite as bad as if I earned it. I worked really, really hard to get that business and then they left.
Yeah.
I take that personally,
Yeah.
like, or not personally, but I take it a little bit more to heart. Like, what
Yeah.
could I have done better to
Right.
keep them? Versus like, I didn't sign them up. I don't really care too much.
But so you have inherited some,
Yes, in my career. Yep.
but not in your current. Say.
I am getting a small book of business for the employee benefit side of things. So that's part of a new transition that I'm going into. So it's still pretty fresh. But all of my personal lines and commercial lines have came organically myself at Ansay. Yeah.
But when in the past, when you had inherited some, would you reach out?
Yeah, I would try to be
right away?
proactive.
Yeah.
It happened a lot where either agents left or they retired,
Yeah.
and then I got some reassigned book. Being proactive and reaching out, just saying, "Hey, I'm your new agent," goes a long way.
It does.
Whether you just do
Yes.
that or you say, "Hey, I'd love to schedule a time to meet with you." Not everybody wants to meet you in person. I get that. But just introducing yourself, even if it's a voicemail like that, it goes further than you think. I remember a few years back we had a really bad hail windstorm, and so I spent the whole day just calling my entire book of business that was affected in that area, just making sure they were okay. Just saying, "Hey, is there anything that I can do? Just wanted to check, make sure your family was okay. Did
That's
you
awesome.
experience
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
any hail damage or anything like that?" It wasn't my assistant calling them; it
Yeah.
was me.
Yeah.
And so even if it was a voicemail or that type of stuff, like people that did answer really appreciated it, and majority of them were like, "Nope, we didn't. We're good. We don't need to file a claim or anything like that." So it was time consuming, sure, but like the reward satisfaction that I got out of doing that, it's unmatched. So
and I'm sure they did too.
yeah,
I love that.
So imagine sitting at the, like you say, sitting at dinner that night with they're talking over the hedge at the neighbor going, I would be that guy, but like, did your insurance guy call you?
Yeah.
I got
Use his card.
Yeah, I got a guy. Apparently, it's a lot better than you.
Yeah.
It's all you just twist the knife a little bit. It's like, my guy's pretty awesome. Just you should find a good guy.
Yeah, and like we take pride in that, us insurance guys. So like, hey, I did it, or like my guy did a really good job. I want you to talk to my neighbor or my business owner friend that I know.
Have you ever read the book The Purple Cow?
No.
Seth Godin read a lot of his books, but he talks about what we do should be remarkable, which means someone makes a remark about it, which is what he just said he would do.
Yeah.
And so the purple cow analogy is if you're driving down the road and you just see a cow, you're not going to really say, but if you saw a purple cow, you're going to say something.
That's fun. That's
I
like that.
But it's real. Because absolutely. Well, I have a personal experience. My financial advisor ran through some tough times and walked away from his business. So I get a phone call from my new financial advisor, and it's not from her; it's from her assistant setting an appointment. And now I know the assistant because it's my guy's assistant, was my guy's assistant. She brings her car to me. She's a sweetheart. I love her to death. And I said, "So what's this appointment for?" And she said, "Well, it's your annual appointment." I was like, "Okay," or my spring appointment, I guess is what she said. And she says, "Well, your spring appointment." I was like, "But aren't we missing a step in here somewhere?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Where's the interview?" And she's like, you want to be interviewed? It's like, no. And I won't say the gal's name, but I said, because she might be awesome. She might be better than what I had. I have no idea. She didn't call me. She didn't ask if she could be my person. She got assigned my thing, and now we're going to pretend like nothing ever happened, and I'm just going to go in for my, and it's like, I said, I didn't pick her. I said, she's not my sister. I get my sister I'm stuck with, right? But my girlfriend, I picked that one. My financial advisor, I picked that one too. So
Yeah.
She is not my financial advisor. If she'd like to be, and she would like to call me and like to introduce herself and invite me in to meet her
Mm-hmm.
and interview her to see if I would like her to be my financial advisor, I would encourage you to let her know that she can do that. But do not have you call me to set an appointment like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, I'm not 20 anymore. My financial advisor, there's finances to advise now.
Yeah.
I'm not 20. I'm not trying to rub two nickels together anymore. This is a
Mhm.
big deal for me. And losing my financial advisor, I had someone older than me to get me through the young time. And when she was getting close to retirement, in my opinion, she was getting close to retirement. I found a new financial advisor. And my wife at the time, she was like, "Is that a good idea? My dad says that we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't get a new financial." I said, "But you don't understand. We're starting to have good income. The businesses are coming around. The revenue is there. Personal income is going up. Investments are building. We're trying to build the retirement." I said, "I don't want to wait until Barb says, 'Hey,' because she's not going to call me and say, 'In 3 years, I'm going to settle down.
Mhm.
And a year after that, I'm going to retire.' We're going to get an invite, hopefully, to her retirement party. That's going to be next Thursday when we get the invite.
Mhm.
We might get a month's notice." And I said, that's what we're going to get. I said, so, again, I told Erin, I was like, the appointments, I mean, she's a assistant. I was like, you need to have her give me a call. And if she doesn't want to give me a call, then she's not the one.
Mhm.
So I said, I'm not buying her a ring. That's how it's gonna. You need
Did she
to.
call you? No.
No.
That's crazy.
It's like, okay.
You would have called.
I like to think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody was like, "Hey, you need to call this guy,
Yeah.
otherwise he's probably gonna leave." I'd
Yep.
be like, "I'll make it a point to call him."
Yep.
Oh
So
yeah.
and for me, I gave it 2 weeks, which was more than enough time in my opinion. That should have been a
Oh, yeah.
48-hour turnaround
I
in my
would've
opinion.
called immediately.
Yeah, but I gave it 2 weeks, and then I just called Aaron back and I said, "Hey, do you want to get me just put all my info in a nice little package for me? I'll swing by and pick it up." I said, "Because I want to."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, I've got it all together."
Hmm.
I'm like, "Thank you." So she had it all together
Yeah.
when I called, and she knew, and
Yeah.
she was just like, "I'm really, really sorry about this."
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm not saying I won't stay with the company because my financial advisor was an owner in the agency
Yeah.
or the company,
Mhm.
whatever. But it's just, I really trusted him. And like I said,
Yeah.
this gal, she might be better than he was. I have no idea.
Mhm.
But I know the customer service side of it, and I'm sure she's probably overwhelmed. I'm sure she had her own book of business, and now she got dumped on with more.
Mhm.
But there again, that lends into let's have an interview, because if
Yeah.
that's the situation we're in, I don't want to be a burden on you,
Right.
because what you're doing for me is pretty important to me. It's a big deal. I mean, just like you, I can't just
Yeah.
go, well, you're busy, so you're not going to. When I call to bind something, it's like, you're busy. I'll just drive the truck without insurance till Kevin's got time.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
I can't. I can't. My house, my business, they don't need insurance when Kevin's busy.
I'll let
It's
them
like-
voicemail,
Yeah,
You're
right.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, I text him. It'll be fine. It's like, you need a little service. And if you can't provide that, good for you. I'm glad you're so busy. But then that you got to let me know that. But yeah, so I just thought, and maybe I'm just being too critical, but to me, that's not something you just take for
That's
granted.
a big deal, though.
It is for me.
Especially as you get closer to retirement.
Well,
and then the nest grows, and
Mhm.
Right.
you want someone you can trust.
Right. And this all just happened like in the last 3 or 4 months.
Mm.
And my goal, we talk about goals for retirement. I had a hip replaced, December of 24, so a little over a year ago. There was a few weeks where I kind of made the plan that I'm probably not coming back. I'm going to get my hip done. I'm going to take normally I take 4 or 5 weeks off to recover and get back to work because this is my second one. So I've already been down this road. And then I'm thinking, maybe I'll take 7 or 8 weeks. I mean, Mayo tells me 8 to 12 and then see how we're doing if we can go back to work. And it's like, I took 4 the first time. It's like, and then, 4.5. But that last 4 or 5 days, I felt guilty. I was like, I could be at work. This is crazy. So, and I thought, then it kind of hit my head, hit it in my head. I'm like, maybe this is it. Maybe I'll just retire. I'll be done. And Heather and I talked about it, and then literally within that 2-week period of thinking that, her oldest says, "We're pregnant.
Hmm.
First grandbaby's on the way." Well, because Heather's like, "Well, if you're retiring, I'm retiring." So we kind of, so we started looking at numbers a little bit and going,
Mhm.
"Yeah, we're ready for this. We're good. We're fine." And then we find out that Michael's having a baby. Michael and Brooke are having having our first grandbaby. And Heather's like, and they're like, "Well, you're going to do the daycare, right? I mean, because we're not taking her anywhere else." Well, and Heather's like, "Well, if I'm going to stay to do daycare for her, I might as well be in
Right.
daycare." And I was like, "Well, if you're going to have all those kids in the house, I can't retire." I told her, I've got two choices. I recover for a few weeks and I go back to work, or I move to a country that doesn't have extradition and change my name to Juan. And that's my choices. And she laughs. She goes, "How about you just work a little longer?" I'm like, "All right, well, you got to vote. I'll give you that." So
That's fair.
yeah, but yeah, that was, to me, that's a big deal. So when you inherit or you get handed that, it's like, that's I mean, it seems like a golden goose or a golden egg at least.
Yeah, don't take it for granted
But
by
don't
any
take it
means.
for granted. Yeah.
No.
Because that's still someone's livelihood. It's important to somebody.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. I mean, there's only so much time in the day, whether it's financial planning or insurance, like for those owners to spend their time. They can't reach out to
Yeah.
everybody themselves.
right.
So, I mean, having the office staff to help out. But if somebody does say, "Hey, no, I want my agent to call me," just call them. It's
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
hard. Like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So
Well, you can have your assistant call and set up a time to introduce you guys,
Right.
not just, yeah, no big deal. She's just taking her.
We're
She's
gonna
going to step
review
in.
the policy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's like,
what
we're
I
just going
would
to step
get.
in. It's like,
yeah. There's a right way to phrase it. And go
Yeah.
about it,
I
for
think
sure.
I would get emails. If you want to come in to review your policy, just let me know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was the reach out.
Yeah. well, I had insurance. You will cringe at this because Jordan Whitcomb and I've had this conversation, and he was just like, "No, no, no." He had like a mini meltdown over it. But it was in Rochester. My whole family had been insured by them forever. It was a agency that anybody over the age of probably 40 would know these people,
Mhm.
and very good. They were excellent service, family run. Well, they called my folks and said, "Hey, you want to come in and review your policy? We'd really like to review your policy." And my dad was just like, "We're good. We didn't have much money when I was growing up, so there wasn't much to insure, to be honest." So my dad kind of just declines on it. Says, "Yeah, we'll come in when we have time. No big deal." About a week and a half later, and his name was Craig. I remember him. Super nice guy. He literally shows up in Stewartville, knocks on our door after dinner one night, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and gives us this manila folder with like our deck sheet, everything in it. I mean, it's a thick folder with everything that my dad had for coverage. And he just said, "Well," he goes, won't take your time. I know you didn't want to go over this, but I really want you to have this." And it's like, so just want to make sure that you're informed. And my dad too was just really impressed by this. And I thought, well, we're not a big customer. We're not spending a fortune in there. What's going on? Then about 6 or 8 weeks later, we get a letter from Craig. And then a day later, we get a phone call from Craig, or a day or two, and they had changed companies. They were no longer with one company. Now the agency is with another company. And he's like, "Would you like us to give you a quote? I mean, you wouldn't by chance have like deck sheets or anything like that we could just look at, do you? And we'll go over, because it's non-compete. You can't go after, you can't,
Sneaky.
Yeah. So it's like, and Jordan, just fun telling Jordan, because he's so animated, and he was like, "Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that." And like, granted, this was when I had a car, so I was probably 17. So this is 35 years ago,
Mhm.
or so. But yeah, that was their thing. But I mean, but their service was good. And I mean, and then, they stayed in their same little office, or big office. But yeah, I mean, we switched over. We went back to them. We dumped the old
You
company.
stayed with the guy.
Stayed with the guy.
Yep.
That's right.
That happened to me quite a bit when I transitioned from Country Financial over to Ansay and Associates, and I had the non-compete as well.
Yep.
I didn't go after anybody myself, but just organically, people would reach out to me, calling me, sending me a Facebook message, whatever, asking me where I went, and I just tell them and say, we have access to 30 plus carriers now. I'm helping out a lot of people, and I can't stop them from wanting a quote,
Yep.
so.
Yep.
But it sounds like your guy was being a little more proactive about it. He
Yeah,
had an idea
yeah.
what he was doing. So
Yeah. Well, and because I went in for my because he did the same thing to me. Called us, and I went in for my little review, and when you went in, and it was very weird because I went in for mine, and same thing. My folder was a lot smaller, but he gives me all the documentation, and I mean, this is in this is in the 80s. I mean, it had to be about 87, 88, somewhere in there. So, but my folder was a lot smaller. But again, he gives me everything in paper, everything printed, and going over my policy was like a 5 minute. It was not.
yeah,
When we'd go in and go over policy stuff, it was you're in there for 20 minutes, 45 minutes, going through, trying to upsell, whatever, make sure that the coverage is right. Their whole goal of that meeting was to get that folder in your hands.
yeah.
Because they wanted that folder in your hands a month from now when we switch companies. But again, I was young. I didn't see through that at all. I had no idea. But it's like you sat down, they're like, yeah, well, so you've got your car covered. That's really all you have. And I didn't even have renter's insurance yet. I was still living at my parents' house. I hadn't graduated high school yet, anything. I just had a car policy. And they were like, yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk to about yours, but everything's going good. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so I mean, any questions for me? No. All right, great. Well, hang on to these because you're gonna, this stuff's important. You're a young guy. You gotta set a folder up. And I was in and out in 5 or 6 minutes, and it was just, and there was people in the parking lot. Just, the parking lot was just full. It was Miracle Mile. So, but yeah, it was funny. And then, like I said, then he showed up at her house, and he's just, Ernie, my dad is Ernie. I was like, Ernie, good to see you. I just wanted to drop this off. I know you weren't going to come in for the appointment, but you don't really need to. We just want to make sure that you have all your information. You guys got to know what he's got for coverage. And, I said, if you decide you want to go over that, you just call me. I'll take care of you. And it was a handshake, and boom, he was out. He was off the front step in 2 minutes.
Yeah, on to the next one.
Yeah, because I guarantee he had a trunk full.
Yeah.
Yep. But that was, but yeah, and it was him, and it was a whole family. He was the second generation. He was the son-in-law, and but yeah, it was then when they switched over to Safeco or Safe something Safeco.
Safeco is one. Yeah.
Okay, I think it went to Safeco. It was a State Farm agency, went to a Safeco.
Oh, so they went independent, like what we did.
Yep. And so, and yeah, I mean, but it was funny. You'd go in there, and of course, back in that day, you'd go to your agent a lot more and do things. It wasn't, we didn't have online websites and portals and apps, and
so hard to imagine, isn't it?
Yeah, I got a taste of it before COVID happens. Yeah, that changed things up a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, you'd go in and you'd see the same people, that you saw before. So they just really, but they really worked hard to take care of the customers. To your point, that's what it's all about. That personal, and there's nothing wrong. I didn't mean to make it sound like that with when Erin would call the assistant. That wasn't offensive to me at all. That's what she's there for, and she's and she's very good at it. But it's just the part that threw me off, that I was a little put off by, was just the nothing to see here. We're just going to do our normal thing, just like nothing happened. It's like something happened. The guy that I gave up, I fired my financial advisor because she was older than me. I went with someone that was younger than me, thinking I'm going to retire before he does. I don't want you to leave me high and dry when my income is, when I was younger, especially, I'm thinking, I'm hoping it's significantly more, the older you get, you hope that's going well. And when the businesses start to click, and it's like, I don't want to be left stranded. I don't want you to retire on me then, and I'm scrambling. I want to take the time to find someone. And so I just, and like I say, I maybe read into it too much, but it was a big deal for me.
For sure.
So Kevin, have you had some interesting businesses, like situations that you had to insure, or that you like couldn't insure because?
Besides the alligator, that is.
Yeah.
Where's the alligator now? That's the question.
I don't know. I did find out that you can't get an alligator in Grand Meadow now. They're grandfathered in, so they made it into like a city law or something like that. But yeah, they were able to keep the alligator because it was still alive. But once that died, they couldn't get another one.
But don't they live for like 100 years?
Yeah,
I think.
I'd be curious. It has to be still alive, I would think.
Yeah, I think they live like 100, 150. I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not exactly the alligator expert, I guess. I should just.
Yeah, but I mean, on the business side of things, a lot of the time when I'm cold calling or just, pretty much when I'm cold calling or stopping into businesses, I get it a lot, especially with the bigger businesses. They're like, oh yeah, I've been with the same agent, 10, 15 years. I'm not going to ruin that relationship. Or that's there's 4 cards with insurance. They like to say there's the relationship, which they call it a trump card. So if we find out that, that business owner's brother-in-law is their agent, just walk away.
Yeah.
You're not going to get
Yeah.
that more than likely unless they messed up.
Yeah.
But then the other cards are like service, price, and coverage. Those are the things that we can work with, and can, kind of show that we're a little bit different on that side of things. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest objection that I run into is, I'm really, really tight with my agent. And it's not,
Yeah.
you can't really fight that really
No.
at all. But if it's like,
Well, you have to appreciate that because you want that loyalty yourself.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is like, hey, who are you with right now? And they tell me and they say they haven't done me any wrong or anything like that. We've had a great experience. The only thing you can say is great. You're
Yeah.
with a good spot, you have a good experience, awesome.
Yep.
And you walk away, you kind of bow out respectfully. But if somebody says, my guy doesn't call me back, it takes 2 or 3 days for them to call me back when I need their certificate of insurance, and I'm missing out on jobs because of that. That's a real problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like the type of solution that we can, solve.
Yeah.
Sometimes price. I don't like to lead with price because if so they shop around in a couple of years, they might find a better price.
Yeah.
I like to establish that relationship, provide top-notch customer service, and have them be confident that they can call me in a time of need.
Has there
So-
been any business that you couldn't insure?
Oh yeah.
There is.
Mhm.
So what, like, for example?
I'm trying to think.
Gun
Somebody.
shops on top of bars.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain
Gun shops on
there's certain risks that
That was hard to insure. Let me tell
Yeah,
you,
I can imagine. Yeah, like gun
I
shops.
had that. I just sold my gun shop, and it was on top of the down under, and
Oh,
shared a building. We were
Okay.
upstairs, the bar was downstairs.
Yeah.
And that was
that's an interesting combo.
There was a bar, like the shop that I was in once.
Yeah.
Had a bar downstairs.
downstairs.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
downstairs is downstairs is the down under, and it's a bar.
Yeah, it kind of just depends on the risk. The things we tend to steer away from is like, I wanted to say high claim frequency.
that.
So
Oh,
like
yeah.
if somebody, they have, let's just say a dog boarding facility, and they're constantly getting claims left and right, dog bites, cuts, or,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Our underwriters look at, one, how big of the claim is being paid out, and then 2, what's the frequency? If it's high frequency, they don't love that. And so sometimes there's carriers that non-renew them and kind of have to shop around and find another home for them. But then that's also an opportunity for us. Like if that dog boarding facility, if there's certain things that keep happening, then we can go in there, okay, how are you training your employees? Is there anything we can do if they're cutting their hands a lot, opening dog cans or whatever? Is there any sort of like safety procedures that we can implement that would reduce those claims from happening in the future? So that, again, that's the proactivity side of things,
Yeah.
and doing a deeper dive. Like manufacturers, there's so many different work comp claims that can happen. And so just educating them on different, risk management resources, which we have a whole department at Ansay and Associates that handles like risk mitigation. So that is one differentiator for us.
Yeah.
That is a service that they couldn't be getting right now. That could save them thousands of dollars in the future, especially on the work comp side of things. So
Yeah.
it can be really beneficial.
That's
to them.
awesome.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a situation once. My brother-in-law had come down with this FTD dementia. It's like what Bruce Willis has.
Oh, okay.
So fairly young. He ended up passing away at 69. But I ended up being his conservator,
Mhm.
and he had a house in St. Paul, and we knew something was going up with his head. We weren't sure what it was, but it came to a head when his house flooded. And like 6 inches of water in the basement.
Oof.
So we ended up, that was like, we had to get him out of the house. He ended up down here. But, so now I'm the conservator. We were going to sell the house because he was basically terminal. He wasn't going to go back. And we had to get the basement pretty much got gutted and rebuilt. And insurance found out no one was living there anymore.
Oh boy.
and they canceled the policy.
Yep.
And I had like a month's notice. And the gal I was working with up there, she had to find someone that would insure a home that had work being done on it. So it had an outstanding claim
Mm-hmm.
from the previous insurance company. And
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Sure, that wasn't easy.
no, she tried really hard. I think I found someone to just like live there for a while so we could say it wasn't vacant.
Yeah.
But it was really close, and we were getting like so close to
Does
closing
squatters
it.
count? Is
I-
just curious, just asking.
and it wasn't so much. It was kind of like, well, it was almost like we had to go. We were almost at a risk of having to go uninsured.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's such a helpless feeling.
Yeah.
But she was really good at pulling through. I don't know what she had to sweet talk whatever somebody to cover it, because I was like everything else was like lining up. But yeah, I just remember that. I mean, I could understand it, but still.
You still have to be able to be there. You have to be covered.
Find a solution.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're at almost an hour and a half. We're at that almost that 90-minute mark. We're getting close. Any last points you'd like to bring up, Kevin, and tell the audience what's?
No, this has been great. I'm getting to know you guys a little bit better. If
I
anybody
agree.
If anybody needs any advice on the insurance side of things, I'm happy to be a resource. People can get a hold of me.
I was just saying, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, on my cell phone is probably the easiest way. Otherwise, people can Facebook me, but my cell phone is 507-440-9312. If anybody wants to touch base, set up a time to talk a little bit more, I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you. And good to meet you. I mean, it's and I hear the name all the time, and I do all the paperwork on the SBR side. So, it's good to put a face.
He asked me to co-host, and I'm like, I don't know who's this. I will. Who's Kevin Cruz?
Yeah, that's like.
And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. Yeah, we're gonna find out.
That was great.
Yep. That's what I love about the podcast, because it is kind of funny. It's like, as I get older, Heather always picks on me. We'll be out, shopping or whatever. And so it's like, hey, Jerry, how you doing, man? It's been shaking hands and all this. And, you chat for a few minutes and it's very vague. And then they leave and Heather's like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, I don't know if I've ever met them before.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I think you have. He called you by name and remembered this or that. I'm like, yeah, it's painful. I sorry. So then when I actually do have people I know I don't know, it's much easier because I don't have to worry about, am I going to embarrass myself by not remembering something? Or
We're calling by the wrong name.
Right. Yeah. I'm not getting any younger, so I got to deal with those things. But yeah, Heather always just laughs at me. So she's like, do you know who that was? I'm like, we just had that happen this weekend. And we talked for a few minutes. They leave, and Heather's like, she looks at me. I'm like, yes, I know what you're thinking. I do know who that was. Thank you very much. She's always picking on me. But Kevin, it was really great having you. Denise, thanks for your stepping up and having your first co-host tonight. This was fun. Did you guys enjoy yourselves?
Yeah. It was a great time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Will you come back?
We'll come back. Yeah, I couldn't even tell that it was your first time co-hosting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, I told you, she's so good.
Yeah.
She's so good. This is so
natural.
Awesome. So, yep. And coming up, I've never done this before. I've never introduced or prequelled the next podcast.
Next podcast.
Yes, Sunday we're going to be in a few days. We're going to be.
Yes, I'm bringing 3 dads. One's my son. That's fun. But they're in my first workshop because I want them. Well, so I asked, I said, will any of you be in a podcast with me? And they all wanted to because they're all techie people, techie guys too. So
that'll be fun.
They're like, a podcast? Because they probably all watch podcasts, but they've never been in a podcast.
Yeah. So
they're all going to be here because I want people to hear their experience because I can talk about, we can talk about what we do and sound great, but what their experiences were. So they were all dads that they all have kids 10 and under.
Oh.
And they're all friends, so they knew each other. And 2 of them I had interviewed about a year ago, and they both said that they wanted to learn they wanted to talk to their kids about drugs and didn't know how. And I kept hearing that from about 70% of the parents I talked to. So that's why I started the workshops. And then their third, the friend, I just said, hey, because they got kids all the same age, so we just recruited him into the shop too. So it's been fun.
Great.
Yeah.
So you can tune into that one. Just get a little precursor before.
Yes.
Where the kids go.
Yeah.
Get ready. Get ready. Awesome,
Right.
guys. Well, again, thanks again for being here. This was great, guys. We're going to sign off. Have a great night and watch for the next one.